everybody. Welcome to Sunday service. Thank you so much for being here. The light is a little bit weird today, so please bear with me. I feel like the shadow is making me look like I have a mustache. I do not. Just going to scooch this a little bit closer. So hopefully everyone is doing good. Today's topic, scooching this a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to be talking about Labubus. I'm going to be unboxing some Labubus and talking about them in relation to magic and witchcraft and all of this type of stuff, because I feel like the world at large is freaking out about Labubus right now and being like, oh, they're demonic, they're possessed. Like even some magical workers I've seen on Instagram who got fake Labubus for their kids are like, I'm putting them in a salt circle. I'm gonna, protect my kids from the bad vibes of these Labubus. So it's like becoming a bit of a thing. And so I just want to speak on it as someone who does have them. Oh, hi, Augusta. Nice to see you here. I just want to speak on them as someone who has some. So I have two that were given to me by a friend. So those are in the other room. And I'm just going to be crossing off my address here so you guys can't see as I'm unboxing these little things. But I've got maybe 5 of these Labubus that I'm going to be unboxing. And then we're going to be talking about what is the mythology behind them? Why were they created? Like, what was the inspiration? And why on earth do a lot of people seem to think that these are demonic or in some way not good spiritually? Because I have seen a lot of people for some reason jump to that conclusion, thinking that, these are evil or these are bad or these are demonic or whatever. And I do think it's very interesting that people will kind of jump to this conclusion of, oh, this is something I don't understand or don't know about, and so therefore it's demonic. And personally, I don't think there's anything demonic about these little dudes. I think they are so cute. And I'll just show you guys kind of what I'm doing. I'm just going to be crossing out my address here so you guys can't see. And then I'm going to be unboxing these and talking about the history. I'm going to be talking about what inspired the creator, who honestly seems like a really cool dude. And I'm also going to be talking a little bit about Pazuzu and why do people kind of associate this with Pazuzu. So let us just begin to cut these open. And this is the box it will show up in. And so I did buy all of these from the website, the official Pop Mart website for Canada. So these are all official, real Labubus. They are not the fake ones, which are called Lafufus. And it's interesting because the creator I'm talking about who got some for his kids, and again, I don't know this person, so I'm probably misremembering this, but he put them in like this little circle and to, cleanse the bad vibes apparently. And I guess he got the fake ones, the Lafufus. And I do think if something is going to have bad vibes, it would be more likely for that to be the counterfeit, the Lafufu, as they're called. Ooh, nice. Cute. I'm pretty excited to be opening these for you guys, but I just want to maybe set these behind me so we can see what boxes we have left to actually unbox properly. But I do think that counterfeit goods are more likely to have kind of negative energy attached to them because counterfeit goods are produced with a kind of greed in mind, right? And we could say that designer items or anything kind of luxury is produced with greed in mind. Like you could make that argument, but I do think it is different when it's your own intellectual property and, the deal has been done above board and everyone, all the contracts are signed, everyone's happy with who's making what money and everything. I do think the energy of that type of thing is different than all the counterfeit type of energy, which is based around exploitation and greed and all of that. And so I do think if any of these are going to have bad vibes, it would be the fake ones that are more likely to have that energy of greed and all of that and kind of negativity. And I'll just show you guys what I pull out of the box. This was the hardest one to get off the website, so I'm really excited to open these for you guys. So I'm going to put these behind me as I'm undoing these little boxes. And I'm really grateful that none of these got stolen in my neighborhood, because I have heard stories of some people just noticing this kind of distinctive tape, the distinctive box that these do come in. And since these do resell for hundreds of dollars in some cases, I think people are really eager to kind of grab them. So each of these, including shipping, I think was $44.44 shipping Canadian. I think they're like 30 something US, I don't know. And they're being basically resold for like hundreds of dollars, which is kind of wild. And let's see. Another one here. Okay, I have two more to unwrap. So, and then we'll be doing actual unboxing and talking about why are these capturing everyone's imagination? Because I think there are a lot of reasons why these are kind of capturing the global imagination. So in case you guys don't know, the creator was born, I believe, in Hong Kong and grew up in one of the Nordic countries. I can't remember which one. And so he has this really interesting mixed like cultural background of being, you know, Asian and then also growing up kind of in the Nordic, like Scandinavian culture. And so these are supposed to be inspired by the Nordic kind of creatures and folk tales and like the trolls and stuff. And so to me, these look like a really interesting mix of like the Moomins, if you guys know what I mean, like the Moomin troll Nordic illustrations. And then also reminds me of Totoro, like in the Miyazaki Japanese anime. So there is this interesting blend of Asian art with Nordic folklore and art that I think is part of why these things are just really capturing the global imagination. Like as I did a little bit of research to prepare for this YouTube live, I did see that globally these are things that everyone seemed like super into, kind of all over the place. And apparently they are banned in Russia and Iraq, which is interesting. And because apparently those places think that they are giving children bad vibes, which is interesting, that this is the places where that's happening. They're not allowed. And I think in Singapore, they were being incorporated into some kind of cultural festivals to increase interest from the younger generation in some of these cultural festivals, which I think is really interesting. And one of actually the most interesting thing I found in my research preparing for this little talk was that in Thailand, they've actually started to be used as protective talismans in traditional Thai tattoos. So in case you guys don't know, I actually have a few of those myself. And so let's just see. So I have, YouTube always flips it. I'm like, which side is it on? So here, as you can see, here, there we go, this line. And then over here, these are sakyat. So these are done by a priest who does traditional Thai Buddhist tattoos. These are supposed to be blessings. And I have one on the back of my neck as well. And so it's been really interesting to see some sakyat, like I've got here, with the Labubu figure. Which is so fascinating. And if you guys want to look at what I'm talking about, I think I do have the link here, hopefully. It's giving me some drama. Let's see. Let's see if it's gonna let me show you guys this link. I don't think so. There we go. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna post this link in the chat. And you can see these like Thai sakyat Labubus being used as this kind of protective talisman. And I'm sure folks might have different opinions on that, of whether or not that makes sense. But I find it fascinating that it's kind of being incorporated into all these different cultures around the world. So let's see. My last one to unbox. All right, so we've got all of these little friends here to unbox. And let's do it. For anyone who is watching live, do we have a request on which one we're going to unbox first? I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I will do this one first, because I think this series came first. And so it's called Have a Seat. Pretty interesting. And I don't know, I just think these are so cute. And what's interesting too is the creator who made these, he's like in his 50s now. And so for anyone who is, you know, wanting to find that success later in life, it is a reminder that this is absolutely possible. And I love that he was an illustrator and toy designer, and these just kind of hit, I guess. Everyone was kind of, I guess here it opens. These were just a global hit. Like, it is so interesting to me that these have really resonated with people globally, and they are like putting them on their bags as keychains, which is so interesting. And I'll talk about this in a second, because apparently Pazuzu, which this is being linked to, correctly or incorrectly, we'll have a conversation about that. But Pazuzu heads, and you can find this on Wikipedia. It took me 2 seconds to learn this. So I find it very interesting that most people don't seem to know this basic information that took me 2 seconds to find out. But Pazuzu heads used to also have like a little loop on them, so they can be attached and worn on the body, like attached to necklaces, or just worn in some kind of way, facing outwards, just so like the Labubus do, as this kind of protective talisman, specifically to protect women and children. So I find that so interesting, because who is going to be interested in Labubus is women and children. And so I'm not saying that the creator intentionally did that. Like, who knows what exactly his influences were in the back of his head as he was creating all of this stuff. But it is interesting to me that if we're talking about like picking up on collective energy, or spirits, or just vibes that are creeping around in the world that have this massive historical precedent, usually when that's the case, to me, it means that that energy is real in some kind of way. Everyone's making art or whatever around something in particular, that there's something being picked up on. There is something very real energetically that people are kind of noticing. And so I do think these patterns are so interesting. So, okay, here we go. We're going to be opening this Have a Seat Labubu. Oh my God, cute. And so it has in it this kind of thing to keep it fresh, I guess. And then a little pendant to tell you which one it is. So I guess this one is called Baba. How cute. And so it comes in this. And honestly, like, one thing that's interesting about this too is that they do come in a blind box. So online, you don't really know what you're getting until you buy it and then you open it, which is a pretty fun experience. And so it has these. This is actually really cute. I think these drawstring bags are new, on the newer side. And because I think they used to be in some kind of thing where you would have to like actually cut it open. Oh my God, you guys. Cute. How cute is that? Adorable. I fucking love these things. I really don't get when people are such haters. Like, they are just so cute. And the back of the bag has a little distinctive mouth. How sweet is this little guy? And their heads move, which I think is part of why people are creeped out by them. So look at this cute little peach colored friend. Adorable. And the fur is like, what's interesting about these is like the fur is really different on each of them. So personally, I fucking love this little guy. How cute. How cute. And so I feel like I'd be too afraid to put these on my bag, because people, I've heard really horrible stories of people like stealing them or attacking people for Labubus, which is crazy. But I have heard about this happening. So I'm just going to put the ones I've opened behind me. Actually, I'm going to do this one next because I think this is the next most recent series. So here we go. We're going to open this. And I do think if we're going to talk about it from another perspective, I think part of the reason why these are so popular is it gives people this amazing opportunity to reconnect with their inner child and their sense of play and fun and customization. And I see a lot of even like adults like my age even like making outfits for their little dudes. And I think there is a part of us that always longs for and desires like that kind of play, that kind of fun, that kind of, I don't know, just like engagement with play. And I think a toy is a really easy way to do that. A lot of people have forgotten how to play. So here is my, let's see. And so again, it has this inside of it. And then it's going to tell us who we got. So I think we got this one called Green Grape, which is cute. So this one would match my gym bag, but I don't know if I want to bring this little friend to the gym because I don't want to get like stabbed if someone wants to steal my Labubu. So I do think these retail for like $100 or more. I saw some at the mall for like $150, and I bought these originally for $44 with shipping. So, okay, here we go. How cute. How cute is this? Oh, so cute. And they do just have this really fun kind of look about them. You know, like they are all a little bit different. They're a little bit quirky. Some of them are kind of fat. Some of them are kind of skinny. And this one's fur obviously is a little bit different than the other one. The other one had like very straight fur. This is a little bit more soft. And so, I don't know, it's just so cute. I have another one from this series. This one definitely looks a little bit more fat in the head than my one that I already have. So sweet. I'm going to put this little friend back in the box and we're going to keep unboxing. Well, actually, no, let's leave some to unbox for later. And we'll talk for a moment about the Pazuzu connection, actually. I'll take some water. And so I do think it is fascinating that a lot of people are jumping to the conclusion that these are like evil creatures. And so there is an idea within a lot of magical and kind of occult spiritual spaces that dolls in particular are susceptible to being vessels for spirits. And I do think that's true to some extent, but at the same time, pretty much anything can be a vessel for spirit. Anything, really. And so to me, it is a little bit not 100% accurate that we need to be even more careful with dolls or some kind of anthropomorphic, humanized-ish looking toy or object that we have, that we need to be more careful about if a spirit is going to occupy that. It's always a risk. A spirit can occupy any object that we have. And so to me, thinking that that can only happen in this type of toy is just kind of not really true. If a spirit wants to hang out with you and wants to like launch itself into an object, it's going to do that. No matter what the object is. It could be a ring, it can be a sweater, it can be a pot, it can be just chilling around. Like spirits can also just chill around and hang out regardless of whether or not they have an object that they're kind of sinking their teeth into and using as a bit of a home base. Like a snail might choose a shell or whatever, a crab or something. You know what I mean? So I do think that if we are thinking about malevolent spirits, one way to work against that is just to make sure our spiritual protection, our spiritual hygiene is really good, right? To be doing regular protection work for ourselves and our home and our loved ones, to be doing regular cleansing work of ourselves, our homes, and our loved ones. And I just really do think this fear that a spirit is going to chill, or especially a bad spirit is going to chill in an object, it just to me doesn't make a ton of sense. And so if we think about this, right, like these authentic Labubus are made in various factories in China. And so if we're thinking about this like demon Pazuzu, I don't really want to get into the weeds of Mesopotamian spirituality right now, because frankly, it's not my area of expertise. I also don't know if it's super relevant really to get into this. I think most people are not going to care too much about demons or Mesopotamian spirituality. Most witches are not really going to care. But if we think about it, right, like why would an ancient Mesopotamian demon be chilling out at factories in China and then being like, yes, I will put my various aspects of my spirit into all of these millions of toys that are being produced? Like, does that really make sense? Like, to me, absolutely, it does not make sense. It does not make sense at all. And it just doesn't make sense. I understand that the reason I think a lot of people are making this connection is because of the silly smile that these toys have. Some Pazuzu imagery does kind of have this like this very toothy, pointy toothed smile. So I understand that similarity, but I really do feel like this more or less is an ignorant kind of moral panic created by people who don't really know what they're talking about. And I don't think these toys have bad vibes in them at all whatsoever. I think sometimes what happens is people are so fearful and they're looking for something to demonize. They're looking for a scapegoat. They're looking for some kind of thing to blame their misfortune on. And so the easiest thing to do is to blame that on this toy that has like some current hype around it and some current like strangeness around how people are reporting their experiences. And I really don't think that any bad vibes are in these toys. Like that just to me makes no sense. Like why would a Mesopotamian demon be hanging out in a Chinese toy factory? If someone could answer me that question, that would be wonderful. And to me, it just seems very ignorant. And I really don't think that spirits are anything to be afraid of. And I also don't think that these demons are anything to be afraid of either. I don't work with demons personally. It's not my thing. I have had some clients who have had excellent relationships, really positive, kind of mutually caring spiritual relationships between certain demons that they've worked with. And so is that a thing people can do safely? Absolutely. Is it something that I teach? Not necessarily. I can teach people how to connect with any type of spirit or divinity that they want to. And if it happens to be a demon, I will teach them to do that. But it's not my wheelhouse. It's not really my area of expertise. It's not really my thing. That being said, I just see a demon as any other type of spirit, really any other type of divinity. I think historically, sometimes what would label them as demons is just that they were a little bit mischievous or they were just happy to kind of stir up some trouble. And I think we can probably say the same about many humans that we know, right? Does that make them like bad or evil or demonic? Like, no, it just means that they're a little bit mischievous, right? And I think all cultures have these mischievous spirits or divinities that we have created cross-culturally across time in order to make sense of the human condition, because oftentimes these divinities and these spiritual cosmologies across time and place have been created to reflect both the goodness and, let's say, the maliciousness or the mercurial trickster element of human nature. And so even if you look at like Greco-Roman divinities, like some of those gods are kind of assholes, right? And so what we see is human nature reflected in a lot of these old cosmologies, right? These like old kind of pagan cosmologies that do talk very explicitly about the evil in human nature and also the good and the virtue in human nature. So we do see this mix of kind of both, right? And so to me, I just think that is what people are often trying to do as they're trying to understand what is a demon, right? Like it just can be that mischievous part of human nature and the universe and the chaos of Mother Nature, right? With random natural disasters and this and that. And there is always going to be those kind of ups and downs, right? So it makes sense that spiritual cosmologies across the world and across history would kind of reflect that mercurialness, those ups and downs, those goodnesses and those misfortunes, which all of us are going to experience in our life. And so So to me, all of the hubbub around these toys is very silly when it comes to the negative assumptions being made around them. But I actually kind of see them as a really positive force for good because they are joyful, they're fun, they are silly, they have like a very funny kind of look to them. They're kind of quirky, and what I love seeing is how globally everyone is kind of relating to these in some kind of way, sometimes negatively, sometimes positively, but the extremes of their reactions, to me, it shows that the creator has really touched in on something quite significant here, that everyone either is loving it and really resonating with it and finding this kind of passion and obsession, and sometimes that can be good, sometimes bad, but there's a lot of positivity and joy being created by these toys, and I think that's true. I think it's 100% true. And I do think the creator's intention of these toys is that they are positive and light and they bring joy to people. And I think that is what they've been doing for a lot of people. And I really don't see the negative side of that, like personally. Obviously, people have to watch their pocketbook and make sure they're not overspending on these things because it's just like a fun toy. But I do think that he has touched in on something very unique and very specific with this blend of a kind of Totoro, Moomin, Nordic, Asian mythology kind of merged together to create this very interesting toy and this very interesting brand and this very interesting aesthetic. And so I don't know, I think it's cool. And I think it's cool that the keychain element of it does imitate how those Pazuzu talismans and amulets that were used back in the day, that they were affixed to people and carried around as a protective element with the face pointed out, right, to protect against whatever was out there. And whenever, let's say, a Labubu is attached to your bag, it's going to be doing the same thing. It's going to be, pointed out. And I don't know, I just like it. And so I think if people do want to use these or work with these as protective talismans in the tradition of Pazuzu, then why the fuck not? Like, why not work with these as protective talismans? If the energy is already there collectively, if he's kind of picking up on these historical movements, these historical energies, which are quite significant. Like when I started diving into this, I was like, oh my God, there's like a bazillion talismans of Pazuzu with like the little loop to attach. So it's like an old school keychain, right? From like a bazillion years ago. And so I love that he's kind of intuitively or not picked up on these energies. Like, who knows if he is really aware of Pazuzu? I have no fucking clue. But either way, I do think there is some kind of cosmic, collective, unconscious or energy that he likely was picking up on as he created these. And so I do think, why not work with these as protective talismans? Obviously, make sure that they're affixed to your bag, because I think that these, I've heard of stories of these just kind of coming apart, because let me see if I can even open this. Yeah. So it opens kind of like this, and it's very like flimsy kind of. And so I could see this like accidentally falling off of someone's bag or easily being removed. And so do get one of those things to kind of keep it safe. But could these be worked with as talismans? Yes. Like if I'm going to be working with this one, it's like heart chakra. It could also be money. It could also be health and wellness. Like if I put this on my gym bag, which is also green being, let's say, health and healthy choices and all of that, like that could be an intentional talisman of sorts that we could work with if we wanted to. Right? So I just think when something hits the collective energy to the extent that this has, it makes more sense to work with it and then to embrace it and embrace that collective energy, kind of like this collective sigil, a collective thought form. Because when a lot of people believe in something, it does kind of give it this interesting life of its own, this interesting power of its own. And so why not work with that if you are looking for a kind of talismanic experience and to be like participating with the zeitgeist? Why not? I think it could be an interesting experiment for anyone who is interested in that type of magic. So I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we're going to open the other little friends back there. Let's see. I think I know what all of these are. Yes. Okay. And so let's just open this friend. I did a much cleaner job of that one. And this series I actually really like because it's called Big Into Energy. And we have all the different little creatures here. And so they are love, hope, serenity, luck, happiness, loyalty. And then there's a secret. And so when I bought this is the first one I bought actually. And I wanted to buy from this series specifically because it was like, if this is energy and these are all these different things, but these also remind me a little bit of the chakras, right? So we have love, hope, serenity, luck, happiness, loyalty. And if I'm asking these as a kind of magical experience, basically my intention was like, okay, what energy do I need in my life right now? What energy should I be most aligning with right now? And since it's a blind box, I couldn't choose which one. Same with all these other ones. None of these are chosen. It's just a random lottery of which one happens to show up in your box. And so I already know what this one is, but let's just see. And I think this is kind of the older style. So let's open this up. And it is hope. Very cute. Yeah, I love it. It's so sweet. I just love these little things. Its little ears. And so that's one thing that's, I think, really fun about the blind box from this energy series, right? It's like, if you are someone who wants to kind of use this blind box experience as a message from the universe to see what do you need to really keep in mind right now to get hope, I think is really interesting. I love that for myself. Hope is such a great vibe. And if we're going to think about this as blue, the chakra system, throat chakra, so speaking, right? And so this is kind of how we can work with these blind box experiences if we want to, as like these little messages, these little hints from the universe, which I think is like really fun, right? And so I love that I got hope as my first Labubu ever from this energy series, you know? The reminder to be hopeful, the reminder to, move with hope in our heart. And I just think it's like really cute. This little head moves. Very sweet. So cute. And so, yeah, I think some people might criticize the blind box as like, oh, you can't just choose the one you want. But I kind of love that element of not being able to choose which one you want. Technically, I really love the luck with its little pink purple energy. But if we're really going to think about, let's say, manifestation and mindset, I love this idea of like, okay, universe, give me whichever Labubu I need the energy of. Hello, Awas. I really love that I got hope as the first one, Hello, sweetie. I know. Okay, so next one. Let's see what this one is. Hello, Annie. Awas. Here, I'll come say hi to everybody. Awas says hello. And you can't hear her probably, but she's purring like crazy. She just wants some attention. Oh, wait, you can sit down there. All right, let's see. And I have to say the experience of opening these is also really fun. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like this is a newer edition with the drawstrings. So now we've seen the drawstrings from each of these different ones. And so this is what it looks like. All right. Yes, honey. I know you're excited about the Labubus. Okay. Oh my god, this is kind of hard to undo. Okay. Let's see what the second one is. Ooh, pretty. This one is called Happiness. And this one is actually so cute too. Its head is a little flat. Yes. But it's, wow, she looks kind of like a creamsicle. And so this one is called Happiness. And so I kind of like that the two vibes that I got out of this series so far are happiness and hope. You know, if we're thinking about happiness and hope as these kind of protective talismans, it's kind of a nice protective talisman to have around us, right? Happiness and hope. I mean, why not? And to be honest, any of them could be really nice, like serenity, luck, love, all of that. But I really do. And look at the little orange bit on the back. I love the back of her head. So cute. And so I do think we can, you know, work with these magically to be like, okay, happiness, like that is a really nice thing to orient around. And orange is what chakra? The sacral. So to me, that makes sense because I'm an artist. So thinking about creativity, right? The orange chakra. And it came with the little, hope came with this too. I just didn't show you guys. So if we're thinking about chakras, if we're thinking about these words as kind of anchor points to help us connect and manifest, I kind of love that. Okay, and we've got one more to unbox here. Let's see what happens. Another. Okay, I know exactly which one this one is. Hopefully this is true. I've heard some stories of people getting this and it not being what it said it was going to be. So let's just cross our fingers. Let's see. Okay, so it has this little... Oh my god. So you guys, I got the secret. So this is like witchcraft skills. This is actually only the second one that I bought, and they're blind, so you cannot like request this one. It's so cute. So this is the secret. So the likelihood of getting this one is 1 out of 72. And I think these were at one point retailing for like $800, which is crazy. I think now they're more around 200 or 300. As more of them are flooding the market. But as a spiritual message, this being like the second one that I pulled online, like I saw that as a kind of message to notice and appreciate and attend to like the luck and serendipity and manifestation abilities that I have in my life as a witchy person. So I kind of love that I got the secret. As you can see, it says in the bottom there, secret 1 out of 72. So the 6 ones over there, 1 of 6. So those are a lot more common to get. And so this is really rare. I can't believe I got a really rare one on my second try. And then this is the card. It's like shiny. So there you have it, friends. Something kind of fun about that, to get the rare one. And it's little baggy. So I definitely don't think I'm going to take this one out of the house because I don't want to get mugged for my little Labubu. That would not be cute. But I do think it's interesting, right? We have like each of the chakras, id, the id, right? What is that? Like it comes from psychology. There's like the ego, the super ego, and the id. And the id is kind of that mischievous element of ourselves, right? That element of ourselves that is like kind of the devil on our shoulder, like that kind of like, what if we just did this type of voice at the back of our head. And so I do think it is interesting, this mix of energies that we see in this particular series, right? We've got all these, 6 chakras, the 7th being the secret. Kind of interesting. Yes, it was. I agree. It's interesting. And so, if you do want to work with these as talismans, I would say fucking do it. Like, the energy is there. They have this kind of great vibe, I think, of this kind of cute, ugly, like cute, scary combination that is really powerful, and it does evoke emotion. And so I think it's possible to, let's say, work with these as protective talismans and to program them as such that whenever someone notices your Labubu on your bag, whatever they think about it, positive or negative or neutral, gets transmuted into protective energy around you. That's just basic magic skills. That is one way to kind of think about it. So yeah, I kind of love them. I think they're so fun. And I still have to decide, am I ever going to take one out on my bag? If so, which one? And why? And work with that and find some kind of way to keep it safe on my bag without anyone stealing it. So they've got like a great feeling to them. They're just nice. I don't know. The fur feels so nice and soft. And so don't be scared of the Labubus, you guys. You can work with these energies to protect you, to use as a lucky charm, to protect you. It can be a talisman for whatever your intention is, based on the color or the name of the Labubu. Like, you can work with these magically in a really fun way if you want to. I just think it's kind of like a neat little thing. So does anyone have any, look at this little head, is all moving, so cute. Does anyone have any questions about this? I know there's not many people here for the live, but I feel like that's a lot of kind of what I had to say about this. I just think that people who are afraid of these, I just feel like they're kind of like out to lunch a bit. And maybe the energy is different in the Lafufus, the fake ones and the real ones. I've actually never seen a fake one in person. I've only seen these real ones. And so to me, the energy of the real ones feels fantastic. It just feels like really positive, uplifting, protective, good vibes. It doesn't feel like demonic or bad or evil to me in any way. Like, it feels really positive. That's kind of my feeling with these. Your mileage may vary, but just remember, like, when you are afraid of an object, you are giving away your energetic power. You're giving away your power as a witch. If you are a witch, you should know how to deal with bad energy, whether that bad energy is caused by you or caused by someone else, right? So it's like not that hard. If you don't know how to deal with this stuff spiritually, please be in touch. I do have a massive course, Magic Without BS, which will teach you everything you need to know about magic and energy work and all of this. Happy to help also in a one-on-one, more coaching, teaching type of experience. If you do have one of these and you want to work with it spiritually, you're not too sure how, I love helping people work with these things spiritually. If you have a Lafufu, let's say, and you do feel like there's some weird vibes from it, be in touch. And if you don't know how to cleanse it of the bad vibes and put some good vibes in, also, if you don't know whether there are bad vibes or you're just being paranoid and letting your fears take over your brain, which sometimes does happen, I'm happy to help with that as well. So yes, that's the Sunday service for today, my friends. Happy Sunday, happy weekend, happy Sunday service. Hello from my squad of Labubus. Hello from my very rare Labubu. And yeah, I think these are great, honestly. And I feel like it's such a great opportunity to work with energy and magic and protection. And, it's just great. Like, I really don't see any downside to working with these. And this is true for adults. It's true for kids. Like, if you're a parent and you want to have one of these as a protective talisman for your child, like, I really don't see the problem. Just make sure that you are affixing that very carefully to your child's bag or your bag or the stroller, because I have heard horror stories of people like snatching these out of the hands of kids, which I think is so horrific. Who the fuck would do that? Crazy people. That being said, use your brain, protect your property. But we can work with this spiritually. We can work with this magically. Why not? I think it's a fun way to work with magic. If this is something that speaks to you and calls to you, why not? So happy Sunday service. Again, if you want to learn magic or if you want to learn how to work with talismans, including a Labubu talisman maybe, please be in touch. I am taking on new clients for mentorship and coaching when it comes to magic, witchcraft, spirituality, energy work, pretty much whatever you can think of. If it's spiritually related, I'm happy to help. And I'll see you guys next week for next week's Sunday service. Much love. Bye, friends.